If the first game breaks, we'll get you know let us put on more steam. Protect our kickers, our quarterback, our lead, our ball game. All obstacles, block, cut, sides, 2 games after this win. First year again, we're here for the first May. Carry my team never 6 minutes.
Rocky Top! You'll always be.
Unbelievable place. Great university. Knoxville's unbelievable city. Great people. The passion for football is even greater than I thought it would be. And man, Neyland Stadium, I said it, a couple of years ago, and I still think it's the best football experience for a college football fan or a player in the country.
Just look around. You got the mountains, you got the most beautiful city in the whole entire country. The university is absolutely, looks like it's out of a storybook. It's just beautiful. People are incredibly genuine and extremely nice. It's just a place that obviously I'd want my kids to go to school. And it sells itself. You don't have to sell anything about this place. You just got to get them here. The old field of dreams. Yeah. Build it and they will come. It's already built.
I've said it from when I got here. The expectation, the standard is to play elite defense here, not just good defense. This is the home of Eric Berry, Al Wilson, Reggie White. The standard is to be elite.
Mark Stoops is 2-9 against his team, and to walk around this place before the game, I was disgusted. The smugness of those guys just walking around like, we're going to walk in here, we're going to kick your ass, and you can't do anything about it. And it made me sick. And you know what? They did it. They still did it. What the hell? Can we just beat this team? I know that Mark Stoops has done a lot of good things. This is his one really bad thing. The stupid stat about beating teams with a winning record and taking the next step and blah, blah. Just freaking beat Tennessee. Please, can we just stop losing to this stupid team with their stupid orange colors, their stupid
Western Hall, so
do you remember when we fell in love? I remember, don't worry. Do you remember? I remember how it all began. How could I ever forget? It's the first time. Do you remember? I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it coming in the air now. I can feel it. I can feel it. I can feel it. It's coming in the air now. We fell in love. You remember how could I ever forget? You remember we fell in love. You remember how could I ever forget? Coming in the air now.
Good Monday morning and welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. We're sitting here with 6 wins. We're rolling into November with 6 wins. Still a lot of stuff to be critical about, talk about. That's what we do right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Man, that clip of the guys that cover Kentucky over at On3, it never gets old. It is hilarious to me. I'm going to continue to play it. It may be a regular occurrence every week when we play Kentucky. I may roll that clip out there. You just feel so sad for them. So sad. It's a horrible thing that we are their daddy. I do feel sorry for our child up north. But, hey, let's have a good time. Let's talk some Tennessee football. Let's see who's hanging out in the chat. Johnny Vols was here bright and early dropping those custom Talkin VAWLS emojis. Real Hank is here. What is up, Real Hank? Papa J says, nice win against Kentucky. Let's finish up our scrimmage this weekend and go tame the Tigers. Be careful, John. Be careful. I got in trouble for calling Austin Peay a scrimmage. We'll see. Let's not call it a scrimmage, even though that's what it is. It's a glorified scrimmage. Little Spooky is here. Drops a $2 super chat to say good morning, Boogie. I'm going back to bed. Well, I would too. I wouldn't wake up and pour a cup of coffee and hang out with me and Cainer. I would just go back to bed too. In fact, let me just shut down the stream and I'll go back to bed. That sounds like a good plan, but I do appreciate you dropping in. John Mills is here. What's up, buddy? Nate Pruitt drops a $5 super chat, says cover charge. Boogie, God bless and go Big Orange. Well, I appreciate that, Nate. Thank you for the donation. The tip in the old tip jar. All right, let's get Cainer on here. Let's talk about this Kentucky game. I want to talk a little bit about the rest of this season and maybe even, I don't know, jump into 2024 a little bit. Who knows? We can talk about it all as I'm scrolling to play the clip. Let's get Cainer on here.
You are Locked On Vols, your daily podcast on the Tennessee Volunteers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Cainer, I was hoping you would drop in early enough to see the video clip. I don't want to create beef between you and, look, you guys kind of work together. Not really kind of, do you? I don't know. You both work for On3. I'm a fan. I can get on here and drag people through the mud. I can have fun. I can goof off. Can you please have a little bit of professionalism if you work for On3? Like, what are you doing yelling and screaming about Tennessee owning you? Anyway, I don't want to get you in trouble. Good Monday morning, Cainer.
Good morning.
That's all.
Good morning.
Just give me the Josh Heupel treatment. Just sit there in silence and stare at me. You don't have to say a word. We all
Next
know.
question.
Anyway, gosh, I wish you would have seen that clip. It's so much fun, man. But let's get into it. Oh, well, I added the Oliver Anthony music behind it.
Oh.
So that makes the spiral even that much better. But anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about Tennessee and Kentucky. 6 wins, man. 6 wins heading into November. Sometimes we get a little spoiled, right? It takes one good year. Last year was a special year, and now here we are complaining about having 6 wins heading into November. What were your thoughts about that game? Sloppy win, but they got the win, and that's all that matters.
I mean, yeah, sloppy win, whatever you want to call it. You got a defense that's taken a step this year. Defense has played pretty well overall, all things considered. I mean, for as bad as you think the defense was, Tennessee's defense, Tim Banks completely shut down Ray Davis, who's, the SEC leader in touchdowns, made Devin Leary have to beat you. And he almost did. Granted, he almost did. But the game plan was to make him throw the football, make him beat you through the air. And that's exactly what you did. Job accomplished. Your game plan was to shut down Ray Davis, and you did just that. So Kentucky was completely one-dimensional. That one dimension was really good. Devin Leary, like Spencer Rattler last year, at a coming-out party. It was the Devin Leary that we saw back in 2021. He was making NFL throws. Even sometimes, again, it reminded me so much, to much of a smaller degree. Don't get me wrong. Tennessee gave up 27 points overall in the football game. It wasn't 64 or whatever it was last year, 63 against South Carolina. But he was making NFL throws over there on those outs. Those were legit throws. And sometimes Tennessee's defensive backs were playing really well in coverage, and he just made the right throw. So it was not the best day for your secondary, not the best day for your pass rush. But offensively, you ran the football. Joe Milton was really, really good. You stopped the run defensively, and you won on the road in this league up in Kentucky, where sure, you've won the series. You pretty much dominated the series, but those games up there in Lexington are always kind of funky. They're always kind of a little different, and you got to win on the road. So yeah, 6 wins heading into November. I've said it like a million times. 6 wins heading into November for only the second time since Philip Fulmer was fired. The first time was last year. So we as fans, media, we often get spoiled a little bit. You're going to be 7-2 heading to Missouri here in a couple weeks. So good season on the way.
It's funny you mentioned Spencer Rattler, because that's what I was thinking. It was such a similar thing, because preseason you talked about Leary and how you thought he could be one of the best quarterbacks in the SEC. Last year I talked about Spencer Rattler, and it's like, you got to eat all this crow, right? You got to eat crow all year. Oh yeah, Devin Leary was going to be great. Oh yeah, Spencer Rattler was going to be great. Then they finally played Tennessee, and they're great. And it's like, can you make my life miserable any other way than this? Like, I eat all the crow, and then you still go out and ball out. But I was listening to you guys on the Rocky Top Rewind last night, listening to it this morning, and you kind of brought up the point. Your game plan was to shut down their running game, and that's exactly what they did. 42 yards, averaged 2.6 yards per carry from Ray Davis. And then, on the flip side, Devin Leary just had a great day, 372 through the air, 2 touchdowns. But when you look at it, like, do you think Tennessee should have made adjustments? Was the secondary that bad, or is it, Tennessee led that entire game. So are you content to say, hey, let's just keep doing what we're doing. Let's stay where we're at. Everybody always uses the buzzword, make adjustments. Would you have changed something? Would you have got more aggressive or said, hey, we're content to just play this game the way it's playing because we're out front?
Well, I mean, I don't have the specific numbers or anything, but going back on the rewatch, I mean, they did change some things. They were switching from man to zone all game long. I mean, they weren't just going straight zone. They weren't just going straight man. There was a healthy mixture of both throughout the game, and at points in times they were bringing some pressure. They brought a safety blitz one time. They brought Caleb Perry off the edge on third down when he's in there in that package. They brought Aaron Beasley, a time or two from the second layer. So it wasn't overly dramatic in terms of letting the guys loose and everything, but they were mixing it up a little bit. Maybe not as much at first, but I do think Tim Banks was not as married to what you wanted to do like he was at Florida. It's just, at the end of the day, I mean, sure, Kentucky's offensive line was holding. Yes, they were holding. Josh Heupel's mad about it. I get it. But you got to find a way to get back there. Tennessee had 1 sack, and there were so many times where I'm just sitting there in real time and on the rewatch, and I'm like, man, God, Leary's got all day back there. And I mean, of course he's going to wait until his guy gets into a break or he sees an opening, he's going to throw the football, and then he's going to make an NFL throw. It was just kind of the perfect storm a little bit. So I do think that they mixed it up a little bit. I just think Tennessee's pass rush was not there. I think Tennessee's defensive backs, especially the safeties, were really slow. They just looked slow on Saturday night, getting over to help out over the top, reacting in man coverage, all that and more. And I thought they missed some tackles as well. It wasn't a very clean game defensively. The last 6 quarters really defensively haven't been great. The pass rush hasn't been there really the past 6 quarters, dating back, of course, to after halftime at Alabama. And hopefully this will be a get-right game. UConn get back to kind of the way they've been playing, and then go out there and play better against Missouri, against some quality SEC competition that you've already shown you can play against in this league before.
Rolly Season for 5. Thank you for the super chat, brother. Says, I love this team, but I never understood how we historically make a middle school JV backup quarterback look like an All-American Heisman candidate, LOL, GBO. But go back to, Cain, or what he talked about with Leary. Look at his 2021 season. Like, he was one of the best quarterbacks in the country. A lot of hype about him transferring to Kentucky, and he just hadn't done it. He saved it for Tennessee, and we saw that. But, man, there's so many narratives about the Tennessee football team, and my dad drives me nuts because he doesn't even watch. He doesn't even watch the games. He gets up and he's one of these old men that still reads the paper and drinks his coffee in the morning, and he wants to formulate his opinions about Tennessee and tell me what I do or don't know. And it's like the narrative that the backup quarterbacks always destroy us. Tennessee can't tackle. Tennessee never wins the games they're supposed to win. It's like all these narratives, but when you look at it, it's like, yeah, it's kind of true. It's kind of true. Papa J for 5 says, our cover grass zone has got to get better. Do we notice it in other games as much as when we had better deep pressure? You mentioned the defensive line struggling to get home. Has kind of that defensive line, as good as they've been early in the year, kind of covered up our inefficiencies in the secondary? And I know Tennessee was without Kamal Hadden. How much was that a factor, and how much was it? If this front four can't get home, Tennessee's going to have trouble.
Listen, it's all tied in. It is all tied in. I mean, I learned that at an early age playing football. Covering football, I can see it clear as day when I'm going back and watching the tape. It is all tied in. If you do not have a consistent pass rush with your front four, then your secondary is going to be exposed. Now, you have some dudes back there. You can have some good players back there. They can overcompensate and everything. But over the course of a football game, if you're not getting home, you're leaving those guys out to dry a little bit. And I think we saw it at Florida. I think we saw it against Kentucky the other night. So, sure, I would answer that. Now, again, I don't think that Tennessee's corners and Tennessee's safeties had a good day. Again, I think Tennessee's safeties were slow. I think you missed Kamal Hadden. I think Danico Slaughter might have had his worst game at cornerback, since playing cornerback. And remember last year against Kentucky's when he kind of had his coming out party. He was, first time playing cornerback, and he created 2 turnovers. I didn't think he had a very good day on Saturday. So, yeah, I think it's definitely more noticeable when you're not getting a pass rush. I just think it all kind of works together. When you're getting in there and you're forcing the quarterback into bad decisions, some premature decisions, some premature throws, it allows your secondary a second or two to play catch up, or allows your secondary to go make some plays. So I think the secondary had a bad day to begin with, but sure, without a pass rush, it certainly kind of exposes those guys.
We're talking about a game that Tennessee won 33-27 on the road, night game, and we're nitpicking, right? But look, Tennessee's defensive line struggled to get home. They get home once on the entire night. The defense did not play good. The secondary did not play good, but Tennessee found a way to win. Go back to Texas A&M. They won with defense and special teams plays, right? Not just the return, that's what sticks out, but pinning it inside the one to set up to that house call for D. Williams. This week, struggled in the red zone on offense, but when the game was on the line, when it's late in that fourth quarter, you needed to punch one in to kind of give yourself a little security. They found a way, and they leaned on Dylan Sampson to get him down the field and get in the end zone inside the red zone. That was refreshing. And then also, you need a drive to milk this clock, the offense. You leaned on your offense to finish off this game. That's kind of the narrative for me as we sit here at 6-2. Josh Heupel, look, people are tired of hearing about it. This ain't last year's team, but it ain't last year's team. But Josh Heupel is still finding a way to win ball games. And I know we complain, nitpick, whatever you want to call it. Bottom line is Josh Heupel is doing a good coaching job, knowing what he has. And let me ask you this. I've taken a lot of heat for this, a lot of heat, and I don't know why. The going conservative right before the half, I was yelling and screaming and showing poor social media discipline. That kind of goes back to Dooley with shower discipline. But I was not happy. I'm like, man, Josh Heupel's a dude that we're yelling at for going for it on 4th and 1 from your own 34. This is a dude with balls. This is a dude that coaches aggressive. You got the football with almost 2 minutes to go, and you let that clock run out. I feel like Josh Heupel didn't have trust in Joe Milton. But does that make him a good coach for understanding what he's got?
So I think it doesn't matter, and I'd love to go back and kind of revisit some of this last year because I do remember, first and foremost, I don't have the stat in front of me. I think it's five of their 8 games this year. Tennessee scored on the last possession of the first half. So my point is it's been working the way he's been doing it. But I want to go back and revisit it some other years because I think it's all about I think it's truly all about getting that first down or that chunk play. Like Tennessee trying to figure it out. Sure, that less than 2 minutes they hand the ball off and it's frustrating. Time's just ticking away. It's like you're not showing any urgency. Then you get that first down. Then you get that chunk play to Ramel Keaton, which should not have been a catch. I understand they didn't have enough evidence to overturn it, but that was not a catch. But you don't ask questions. You say thank you and you move on. You got that play, and then, okay, so now you have something cooking here. And then you're at the 16-yard line, and you have 7 seconds on the clock. I'm sitting here in the game thread on VolQuest.com, and I'm just like, I don't understand why you're not taking a shot here. I have no clue. I can't comprehend why you're not taking a shot here. But then I go back and I look at some of the clock operating issues in that last 2 minutes. And then I go back and I see that there should have been 9 seconds on the clock instead of 7 seconds. And Josh Heupel's asked about that post-game, and he was like, we just had to get the 3. We had to get points. We couldn't take the chance to come up empty. So I disagreed with it at the time, and I still think that they could have taken a shot. But I respect what he's saying. He was like, look, we had to get points no matter what. And lo and behold, those points are why it was a 2-possession football game the entire fourth quarter. It's why you continue to have an arm's length distance away from Kentucky, who wouldn't go away. So Josh Heupel said that he thought there should have been 9 seconds on the clock. He asked the officials, and they said 7 seconds. I think if there were 9 seconds, he would have taken a shot because he still had a pocket timeout as well. So I would have loved to have seen a shot there. I don't think it's necessarily no faith in Joe. I just think it was him like, I got to get points here no matter what. And besides the point, my thing about the clock operators here, there's 7 seconds on the clock before the kick. After the kick, there's 5 seconds. What world are we living in where a field goal takes 2 seconds? Are you kidding me? I don't care what distance it is. We've seen that clock just run out before. On the replay, I went back and watched. They don't start the clock until the kick is like hitting the net. It was the damnedest thing. Like the kick is hitting the net in the back of the end zone through the uprights. They start the clock, then stop the clock. It was ridiculous. So again, to answer your question, I would have liked to seen a shot, but I don't. I respect what he said after the game. It's like, hey, no matter what, we had to get points, and those points were huge.
I was way more upset with them letting the clock run on the first 2 running plays, right? The Jalen, everybody, and that's the funny thing about this the last 2 minutes of the first half, everybody has a different opinion. Like when I talk about it, you immediately go to kicking the field goal with 7 seconds left. I was way less irritated with that than I was, all right, you tried to run the ball. I got no problem with that.
I think they just try to fill themselves out. It is frustrating, though. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, go. Like, I think they're trying to fill themselves out, run, see what they get a first down. If the chunk plays there, they get it, and then it's kind of like, okay, now let's go. And it's like, well, dude, I get it, but you just wasted 40 seconds. So,
Yeah.
again, I'm not a coach, but it is kind of
It's a
it's
feel
kind of
thing.
weird to watch, and it feels like there's no urgency there, but it's kind of a feeling out process.
And that's the same thing. It's like him going for it on 4th and 1. He's like, I don't know. I just felt that's what I felt like doing. It's kind of like Tony Vitello, right? It's like when do you pull a pitcher and why? It's easy for us to sit and watch a baseball game and a guy give up a home run late in the 6th inning, and it's like, well, you should have pulled him. Well, no kidding. What if he strikes that guy out? Then we're saying, well, yeah, you pull him. Why'd you pull him so soon? It's like it is a gut feeling. And, again, that's why they get paid millions of dollars. And we sit here and read these very generous $5 super chats from Rolly Season. He says, after the last 2 weeks, Coach Heupel has a vendetta against the refs. My man is fuming. Yeah, got another pause post-game. Nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change with officiating. I think we can just leave it at that. I want to jump ahead a little bit. Because, look, it's a glorified scrimmage coming up on Saturday against
Spoilers,
Connecticut.
I'm going to call it a glorified scrimmage all week long because that's what it is. And the Austin P one should have been a glorified scrimmage, but Tennessee sucked that day. But this is still a scrimmage. Tennessee should win by 40.
What were they favored? I don't remember what the line was.
They were favored by, it was something outrageous. It was I want to say 41.
Okay,
Yeah,
this was 35.
35, okay, there you go.
I couldn't remember what Austin P was, but I thought it was something somewhere in the 40s. Look, we're not going to talk about that game all week. Go ahead and get ready for content about the Missouri game and the Georgia game in the future. But I want to fast forward to 2024 just briefly. This football team, they're losing a lot of senior-led football team here. But where do you think Tennessee goes? What do the next couple of years look like? Obviously, you got Nico, and I think that's a huge sales pitch, right? And it's kind of the ace up the sleeve. Hey, nobody knows. We can still sell Nico as the greatest quarterback of all time because he's not been out there, right? You throw him out there too early, he struggles. Kind of lose that recruiting factor with Nico, but he's still the ace up the sleeve. I look at the offensive line particularly, how many upperclassmen are on that offensive line. Do you think who if you had to pick a handful of players that you think Tennessee could sell on coming back with a COVID year, and I know sometimes it's hard to remember who has those and who doesn't, where would you go?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think there are more on the defensive line that could leave that are going to come back, in my opinion, at this time. Things can change, than on the offensive line. There's 4 or 5 guys on the defensive front that could leave that I think could potentially come back. I think Tyler Barron right now is the only one that's going to be gone, for sure. Things can change, but I'm just saying the only one that I think is gone for sure would be Tyler Barron. On the offensive line, yeah, man, let's see what happens. Cooper Mays would be great to come back, depending on kind of what his stock is. NIL, I would imagine would be a factor there, how much and all that type of stuff. John Campbell would be a really, really good one to come back. The plan was for him to come here, play 1 year, go to the NFL. Again, kind of what's that stock looking like? I believe J.J. Crawford's done. Gerald Mincey, as frustrating as he's been for Tennessee for 2 years, they would welcome him back in a heartbeat. And Javonte Spraggins, I would imagine, is going to get drafted. But again, we'll just kind of see. It's all really, it's all about what that stock is. That they have conversations and all that, and they just got to make some decisions. But all 4 of those guys that I mentioned have another year left, and I do believe that maybe 1 or 2 of them could come back. But it wouldn't shock me if all 4 of them kind of decide to move on. But you need 1 or 2 of those guys to come back. You'd really like it. Dane Davis will be back. Andre Carrick will be back. And then you're looking at some guys who are not good enough to play right now, who who have not been developed. Gosh, this offseason's huge. You're gonna have to go out and find some more offensive linemen in the transfer portal, just like you've done the past 2 seasons. And that's unfortunate because I think that to this point, there's been some misses in the last couple of cycles at the offensive line because these guys aren't ready. Addison Nichols, man, you had every opportunity. How much playing time are you going to get these last couple of games just to kind of give Tennessee an idea of what you have in there? And then, we'll see what happens. So, to answer your question, dude, I don't know right now, but I would imagine that at least one of those guys would come back. All 4 of those guys are not going to get drafted. And then it's just kind of a matter of, well, do you want to be done with college or not? I think Javonte Spraggins will get drafted. We'll see about the other ones. And but Tennessee would welcome and usher them back in the door in a heartbeat if any of those guys wanted to come back.
It's always intriguing to me because there's so much stuff behind the scenes, right? It's like NIL in the transfer portal and just the way the game's different. It's not like the NFL where we know what's going on. We see the numbers game, right? We don't know. And I just think it's intriguing to me. You got X amount of dollars to play with. That's the reality of the situation. People always want to say, oh, we'll just throw the bag at him, throw the bag at him, throw the bag. That's easy.
You got the bag?
Yeah. When you have no idea what Josh Heupel, what Spire Sports Group, what they're working with. But when I just look at it, it's like you got X amount of dollars. Do you spend that on guys coming into the class of 24, coming in the class of 25, or do you kind of sit on some of that money and you say, hey, Cooper, you've seen what we got in Nico. You've seen some of the talent that's getting developed, some of the young guys that are coming along. You've seen the steps we've taken on defense. You're the anchor man. We need you to come back. This is what we're going to offer you. Like, I just wonder how much NIL could play a part in that. Because when you look at the offensive line, and I know the depth has been an issue, like when guys are out, but, man, if you could get John Campbell and Cooper Mays both to come back and Gerald Mincy, I think this offensive line could be a strength next year.
Well, you talk about best case scenario, goodness gracious. I mean, if you get Cooper, Campbell, and Mincy back, I mean, those are your three minus Spraggins. I mean, those are three of your better offensive linemen right now. So I wholeheartely agree. Again, I don't know. I couldn't tell you where John Campbell's draft stock is right now. I don't know. I know that a lot of people say Cooper's too small. Cooper's too small. Man, last year's NFL draft, I mean, there was one center that got taken pretty high, and he was pretty big. But a lot of those true centers were right around Cooper's height and weight. I mean, Cooper's not too small. So, but I don't know where his draft stock is right now. I don't know how much those 4 games affected him. There were some early mock drafts last offseason, that had Spraggins pretty high. I do not think Spraggins going to be a first or a second round draft pick, but I mean, could he be a mid-round pick? I don't know. It's just all those pros and cons, and you got to weigh those out, and then NIL, some stuff that you mentioned there, and it's just it's a different time in college athletics, and we're almost through the COVID years, thank God, because it is so difficult to keep track of who actually has a year. People are like, come on ahead, he's got a year. And I was like, I don't think so. I really don't think so. Keenan Peely's, he got a year. Well, Keenan Peely's 26, so
he's 47 years old and got grandkids. Who knows?
I don't think so, but like if he doesn't play, he could have a medical red shirt if he wants it. It's so confusing. But the offensive line, they need some guys. Regardless, you got to attack the offensive line. You got to attack tight end for sure. Tight end. You got to attack probably secondary. And you'll always take a defensive lineman. I mean, you got some work to do in the portal, but it starts with offensive line and tight end for sure.
Let me hit a couple of these real quick. Jamie Dennis becomes a member of the channel. Appreciate that. Talkin VAWLS Gold. That is a generous donation every month. You guys want to be a part of it, hit that join button down below. You can give as little as $1. You want to give more, you get access to the fan call-in shows, all kinds of fun perks and benefits. Plus, you're supporting the channel, and we appreciate that. Billy Todd for $2 says, Dorothy, I love the Kentucky intro boogie. The referees sucked. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Man, I'm going to continue to play that maybe every single year when Tennessee plays Kentucky. Tanner Hart for $5 says, is there any worry about Nico transferring since he didn't get to play as much as expected this year? Nico's not going anywhere. Anywhere. Thank you for the super chat, Tanner. Man, I'm excited. Obviously, everybody's excited when you talk about the future, 24, 25, about Nico, what he brings to the table. I just look at the offensive line, and they've done a great job in that class of 24. But you mentioned some of these guys that you want to be getting developed, and we've seen it when the starters go out, the depth is just not there, and that concerns me. Some of these guys in the class of 24, I think they're going to be really, really good players. But are you missing the window there, right? You got Nico, and I know, man, Nico, you got George McIntyre you're recruiting. You got Jake Merklinger committed. It's a long way away, but I'm just excited about next year and Nico. But there's some missing pieces. We'll see what they do in the portal. That's going to be key. Let's jump back to 2023. Tennessee's sitting at 6-2. Got 4 games left to go. I mean, you're set up here where now the floor is really 8-4. And I think you and I were both at 9-3 going into this thing. So many toss-up games. What do you think the next couple of weeks look like? You've got UConn at home, obviously homecoming. But then you go on the road to play Missouri, and I think that's an interesting one because I think that's the difference between 8-4, 9-3, or maybe 10-2. In Missouri, they're a pretty good football team, but I was looking at their schedule. Have they really been tested, Cainer? They lost to LSU. They beat Kentucky, South Carolina. They beat a top 15 Kansas State. What do you think about this Missouri football team? 2 weeks out.
Yeah, it's a big game. I haven't really, dove down into my nitty gritty on my notepad yet. Like, look at all this on UConn. I just wasted my time.
I know. I'm asking you a bunch of questions that you were not prepared for, but I knew Cain will jump right in here and be ready.
Hey, real quick, I will answer your question, I promise. Allow me to take over your show here. Did you see my tweet late last night about the defensive lineman for UConn?
No.
Okay. So there is a defensive tackle for you. This is per the UConn Athletics website, UConn football. There is a defensive tackle. His name is Jelani Stafford. He is a junior, 6'3", 300 pounds. He has 27 tackles, like a sack, 8 TFLs. Pretty good ball player. He's an interior guy. He starts. Good ball player. He also has 12 rushing attempts, 21 yards, and 6 touchdowns on the season. The dude has scored 2 times, 2 touchdowns in 2 games this year. I mean, it's a modern-day Fridge.
That is hilarious.
I mean, how cool is that, man? I mean, you talk about a dream of a big guy. Jelani Stafford is living it for UConn right now. He starts on the defensive front, and when they get into short yardage situations, man, he has a long rush. His longest carry of the season's 4 yards, but the dude has 6 touchdowns. I just thought that was so cool, and I wanted to share. Sorry for doing a complete.
Wait, can we do something like this? I mean, can we figure out a way to convert short yardage situations? How about Josh Heupel finally goes under center on 3rd and 1, and then immediately comes back out in the shotgun like he's going to go for it on 4th down? I'm like, are you kidding me right now? Are you kidding me?
The funniest thing about it was you go for it under center and you don't get it.
I know.
It's like you've been clamoring to go under center, and Josh Heupel can come out at the post-game press conference like, "You happy, guys?"
I don't think there was any way they were going on 4th down either. I think they were trying to draw him off sides, but it was even more ironic that he gets stuffed on 3rd and he's like, "All right, back to the shotgun. Let's go."
Again, I will get to your question, but somebody asked me on my mailbag show last week, like, I mean, Tennessee struggles so much in short yardage. Should they consider, Cam Selden as being a short yardage back? And I'm like, that's not a bad idea. I mean, you gotta try something. Like,
Yep.
I mean, nothing's working in terms of short yardage situations. You don't have a Princeton fan. You're not going to hand the football off to Jacob Warren. Is it the wildest idea in the world to bring in a true freshman in Cam Selden who's a bigger back? I mean, hell, Khalifa Keith's a bigger back.
Yep.
I mean, just try something. You didn't really. That wasn't a worrisome thing at Kentucky, but we know about it at Alabama and other points in times this year. I didn't think that was a horrible idea because I mean, you just need to try something. Anyway, Missouri, I think it's a good ball club. Haven't dove down into the numbers yet. That's what I was saying, but Brady Cook scores some points. They've got a good run game. Poet or whatever his name is one of the best running backs stats wise in the SEC this year. You knew their defense is going to be, much better, or not much better. They were pretty solid last year. Knew their defense is going to be something you could hang your hat on. That's a huge game, and I think in that football game, Tennessee's going to have to score points because I think Missouri's going to score some points. And I couldn't agree more. That game's going to decide if you're going to be, potentially 10 wins. I think you need that win to be 9 wins in my opinion. So it's going to be a massive football game, but at least you got to win away from the state of Tennessee. You proved that you could run the football on the road. Joe Milton, we haven't even talked about Joe Milton yet. I mean, he was not asked to do much, but boy, he looked so good the other night. You get that Joe Milton in that run game on the road to Missouri. I mean, I like Tennessee's chances regardless of who you're playing.
What changed with Joe Milton at halftime at Texas A&M? I know we joked about it. You and I made some jokes about it off air. We've talked about it on air. He's a different guy after halftime of that A&M game. And I heard you guys on the Rocky Top Rewind talking about it. It's like when he gets hit, like get him hit early, and then it's like a fight. He gets punched in the face, and it's like, all right, I'm in a fight. Let's go compete. He's a different guy. I think he's played really good football the last 2 weeks. Good enough. I wish they would have ran him more, and I know they ran him still quite a bit against Kentucky. I want to see him running the football more. I think this offense clicks when he runs.
Yeah, that first half against Texas A&M when he elected to go out of bounds and not get the first down on the free play when he should have been taking a shot at the end zone. That was on that first series. I remember saying to people beside me, and I put it in the in the game thread. I mean, it's like I know Joe Milton's not like intentionally not giving his all, but that just looks like a lack of effort. That looks like you don't want it. And then since then, man, like he's had so many of those want-to plays. He's had so many of those give me that's. Like he's showed the ability to like, let me sacrifice my body for the betterment of the team, and that helps you so much in the eyes of fans, even when you may be struggling. I said it then because a couple of plays after that play, when he didn't elect to run over the guy trying to get the first down, when he was not going to get it no matter what on 4th down. It just gave fans some ammunition, like, oh, he doesn't want to try to, be physical or anything. Well, if he put his head down, he was going to get stuffed 3 yards away from the sticks. Anyway, he's had a lot of those plays. It's been really, really good to see. But I think the most important thing that I've been impressed with him the last couple of weeks. His accuracy's been really good. Joe Milton's never going to be the most accurate quarterback. He's just not. You look at his completion percentage back in Michigan, at Tennessee, prior to last year. But last year was just mop-up duty for the most part. He's never going to be the most accurate quarterback, but boy, Saturday night he was accurate. For the most part against Alabama, I thought he was pretty accurate. He is making good decisions with the football. He had 3 misses the other night. 2 of them, technically, you could nitpick and say there was some defensive pass interference there. The other incompletion, just the fact that he got rid of it was astonishing because he was getting blitzed like crazy up the middle. He's been really good. You can win a whole lot of football games with that Joe Milton. Wasn't asked to do an awful lot in the first half, but he looked really, really good. Even again, he's not Peyton Manning, but even the biggest Joe Milton critics out there, grasping at straws here on a Monday, trying to figure out where to criticize his game because he was pretty solid against Kentucky.
Man, his throws, the scramble drill. I mean, he struggled throwing the ball on the run, but the throw to Squirrel, the throw to Dante Thornton,
the throw to Dante Thornton was his best throw all day. I mean, you're getting blitz, flush out of the pocket to your left. You're running left. As a right-handed quarterback, you square your shoulders, you throw back across your body a little bit and hits him in stride, and then he goes and gets 49 yards, and that was a scoring play drive, man. I mean, that was huge. And even it was good recognition on him on that final drive, too, to find Squirrel White. 3rd and 10. John Campbell had a great cut block on the edge, got the hands down and man of line of scrimmage. Sampson flares out right where that is. He recognizes it, sees it, hits him. I mean, he was smart. He was accurate. He was really, really good against Kentucky.
I like, too, we've criticized his situational awareness, that the last drive, having the thought process in the middle of the play hey, I need to get down, stay in bounds, and let this clock run out. That just shows what I don't know what's changed. I don't know. Did it? Everybody's got that number. Whether you're learning to box, you're doing jiu-jitsu, golf, whatever it is, you got to. There's a I don't know, probably some Chinese proverb that came up with this. There's a certain number of times you got to do it, and then when you do it I don't know if it's 5,722. It clicks. So are we finally finding it halfway through 6-year Joe's senior season? Is he finally putting it all together? I don't know. I hope so. This down the back stretch. Bionic Clay, been a member for almost 2 years. Appreciate that, brother. Says y'all think press cover 2 would help the defense. It throws off the timing with the quarterback and wide receivers. Possibly lets the pass rush get home. I would mix in zone blitz to keep them guessing. Thoughts, and then Coach Shea comes back and says man under cover 2 in my opinion, and then Clay comes back and says that's what I meant, I left the man part out. You can give your thoughts on that. I am not an X's and O's guy. I'm not going to scheme up a defense to stop anybody. I play NCAA every Tuesday night, blitz the house and see if you get lucky. That's the way we play around here. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not going to pretend like I'm a coach and I play the game, and I like to think I have a general grasp of the X's and O's part, but there's a lot I don't understand. The two under, cover man, all that. Tennessee's done that plenty of times this year. On Saturday they did it a little bit, not much. But even with that, like if you have a game plan like Saturday, your safeties were so slow. That's like, okay, it's great to have 2 guys roaming over the top free to go help out, but if you're slow to react over there to that out or to that to that flag route or whatever, it's not really going to do much for you. I like cover 2, man. I think that's underneath. You man up, and then you got 2 guys roaming up top. I think that's a really, really good call. They've ran it some. They've ran it frequently this year, and I think it's a pretty good defense for this group. But those safeties have got to be quicker in terms of reacting because again they were really slow on Saturday night.
Well, you've worked some overtime today, but that's what happens when you take over the show and start driving, and we start just having good conversation. I love just having conversation versus lead, but. It is what it is. I like when we just start flowing. It's been fun morning on this Monday morning. Go check out what Cainer's got going on over at VolQuest, also over at Locked On Vols. I think everybody that's here every Monday morning already knows. They're already subscribed. They're already dialed in. Real talk. What high school game are you doing this week?
So we will be at Marshtown West. It's going to be Halls at Marshtown West on Friday night.
Okay, because I'm going down to Bradley Central to see Boo Carter. So I didn't think you would do that game. But I was, if you were, I was going to.
So we were just there last Thursday.
I know. Right? I saw that, and I was like, "There's no way you guys will go back there again, back to back." But
we could potentially, depending on how it falls, we potentially could have Bradley Central again, maybe in round 2. We'll see. But boy, Boo Carter's electric. Marcus Gorey, like nobody talks about him. He had a couple of plays. I know you're trying to get rid of me. Marcus Gorey had a couple of plays where it's like, man, like you can see Division I talent there. Their quarterback's pretty good. Bradley Central's a good ball club. So not this week, maybe round 2, but we'll be at Marshtown West.
Awesome. Sounds good, man. I'm looking forward to seeing Boo Carter in person. We'll catch up later. I'll be on Locked On Vols later this week. Kainer's got all kinds of stuff. What, you guys got any specials going on over at VolQuest right now? It's not big week game day specials this week.
No, just the special stuff is just hanging out with us. I mean, God, how lucky are you if you remember at VolQuest.com, can hang out with us, me, Rob Lewis. I mean, it'll get you better than that, but come on over. It's UConn week, but still Tennessee's going to get this win this weekend. We got plenty of coverage, preview. Still reacting to that win over Kentucky. Again, you don't apologize for a win. You win on the road. That's something to celebrate. So come on over and do it with us at VolQuest.com and on Locked On Vols.
Awesome, buddy. Always good time talking ball with you. We'll catch up later this week.
All right, buddy. Sounds good.
Later. All right, we're going to keep this thing rolling. We still got around 200 people watching live. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us on this Monday morning. Let's do some plugs and shills. If you haven't already, I don't know what you're waiting on. Smash a thumbs up just below the video. That is quick, free, and easy, and it helps the channel. You want to rep the channel, you can go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin Vols. Check out all the Talkin Vols merchandise, whether you want to be offensive and say Buck Fama and FUGA. You can do that. You want less offensive, we got beat Bama, beat Georgia, beat Florida, Vols by 50. Whatever you want, we've got it at bonfire.com/store/Talkin Vols. Also want to give a shout out to the members of the channel. If you're in the channel, if you're in the chat and you don't have a Power T beside your name, what are you waiting for? Why not? Why are you not? Are you a Gator fan? Are you a Georgia fan? Why is there not a Power T beside your name? You can hit that join button down below. You can give just $1. You got $1 in your pocket. You got $1. I got $1. You got $1. Hit that join button. We would greatly appreciate the support. Now, this is what we do on Monday mornings. Now we have Cainer on for usually about 30 minutes, and then we jump over and we take a listen to what Coach Heupel had to say during his post-game press conference. We're going to do that. If you guys have comments, you want to derail it, you know how to do that. You guys have been very generous the last couple of weeks with this new format, so we'll just roll with it. We'll see where we go from here, but let's see what Josh Heupel had to say after the win over Kentucky.
Proud of the fight, the competitive nature of the football team. They played for 4 quarters, didn't play perfect. A lot of things that we can do better in every phase, but they played hard. We were physical, and we talked about having to win the fourth quarter. Felt like we won the fourth quarter tonight. That was a good job finishing the football game, all 3 phases, and really nice drive at the end of it by the offense to go drain the clock. So. Proud of our football team answering back, and so told them we got to continue to get better too. There's a lot left on the back third of this season, and there's a lot of things we can control that we got to be better at.
Talking about this team, they don't quit. They fight, right? And it's easy to get behind and support a team that goes and wins 11 games. You got who should have been a Heisman Trophy candidate. You had the Biletnikoff Award winner. They're scoring 50 points a game. They're throwing it all over the field. They're having, big splash plays. That team was easy to watch and have fun with. So I like this team this year, man. They got a little dog in them. They got a little fight in them. And I know we've talked about playing 60 minutes, but that lack of playing 60 minutes has never been a lack of effort. I think they've always shown effort. I don't think they've ever rolled over and died. I don't think they've ever quit on a game. I like this football team. They're gritty. And again, going back to what I talked about with Cainer, they find ways to win, whether they're leaning on their defense. It's funny, and I know we as fans, we get emotional, we overreact, we flip out. That's what we do. Some of us want to play a backup quarterback because we get emotional and we overreact. That's what we do. But coming out of that Texas A&M game, man, you leaned on your defense. You made some plays in special teams. You won the football game. Everybody in the chat, everybody on the panel is praising Tim Banks. What a great job he's done improving this defense year after year after year. You go up to Kentucky, you can't stop Leary, and now everybody's wanting to fire Tim Banks, fire Willie Martinez, fire somebody, fire everybody. We get emotional sometimes, but I like the fight in this team, and whether they lean on defense, special teams, offense, whoever it is, whatever it is they lean on, rely on, they're still sitting at 6-2 going into November with an opportunity to go win 10 football games. That Missouri game is going to be huge. Right now, I'm still sticking with 9-3. It's what I said before the season. It's what I said after they lost to Florida. It's what I've said the entire year. I'm still rolling with 9-3. But if you go beat Missouri, now the floor is 9-3. Man, that Neyland Stadium is going to be electric for that Georgia game. I think it's going to be electric regardless, even if you're coming off a loss to Missouri. But I think you go beat Missouri on the road, man, Neyland's going to be electric. Shout out to Shoshana Hill for becoming a member of the channel. We appreciate that support. You guys can hit that join button down below. Get that power T beside your name, but thank you for that. We appreciate it. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel. I love taking a shot at Coach Jay. He embarrassed me on my own live stream. Unbelievable. Let's hear more from Coach Heupel.
Open it up.
West in Austin, some of those plays that Samson made tonight, big plays in big spots. Take it away, you play.
Dynamic in the second half in particular, down the stretch, but did an unbelievable job making people miss and reading the blocks and running extremely hard, running through tackles. Jay Wright did that early too, got nicked up a little bit on the back half of it. Jabari ran well too early. All in all, just big time effort from those guys, and obviously D-Samp played really special tonight. Big guys up front were really pretty solid with all the things that they were showing, movement, everything they handled it really pretty clean for most of the night. Tight ends were big in that too.
That's the first time that I've heard that Jalen Wright was nicked up. I didn't know that. You know, a lot of people were questioning, you know, what happened. Why did Dylan Sampson get in the game late? Which it ended up working out, right? I mean, Dylan Sampson went and ran angry, made some plays. That little shovel pass has not worked at all this year. Has not worked at all. Didn't work when they threw it to Dylan Sampson, but guess what? He made it work. I don't know how he spun out of there. And made the play that he made. And then the check down from Joe where he picked up like 18 and then scores from 12 yards out. You can't score in the red zone. You give it to Dylan Sampson. He was not going to be denied. And that was so huge, man. It was so huge to get in the end zone right there. And then also just to be able to run the clock out at the end. Dylan Sampson, what a great game. But that's the first time. I did not realize that Jalen Wright had been nicked up. So interesting. Let's listen to some more. I'm reading your all's comments.
You had 7 seconds to go there at the end of the first half. You let the you kick and not take a shot there. It was just a big streak. You got points. And then the defense kind of went for you 2 weeks ago. The offense doesn't do a good job. Now, playing complementary football, playing for each other. How big is that? Just need to kind of learn how to win.
Whoever's on the field at the end's got to go finish it. Win, lose, draw. It's always 3 phases together. You're always competing for each other, and the fact that one phase of the game can help lift up another. That's what special teams do when they got a really good culture
Checking
inside
his
of
text
it.
messages in the middle of the press conference.
Man, the 7 seconds. Actually, thought it was going to be 9. You guys probably saw.
By the way, that was 9 seconds at the end of the first half. It was 9 seconds. They picked up a first down, clearly 9 seconds on the clock. You watch the replay, 9 seconds on the clock. How do you not replay that? How do you not take a look at that? If the coach said, hey, there's 9 seconds on the clock, how is that not replayable? How do you not look at that and get the right amount of time on the clock? I understand, again, I don't disagree with the decision to kick the field goal there with 7 seconds. There's a big difference between 7 and 9. I think with 7 seconds, I think you're still able to get a playoff. 9, you're definitely able to, we talked about it postgame. Put 3 on one side, put Ramel Keaton on the other, throw a 50-50 ball and let him go get it. Let him go try to make a play. But there was 100%. 9 seconds on the clock. Negavall says, where's his Coke at? I don't know. Where's his, what do he have, purple? Where's his purple drink? He had purple drink last press conference. Coach doesn't like water. Water's disgusting. I like little Gatorade packets. Let's hear more.
Replay of it, but when it was at 7, we still had a timeout. We're far enough back, just didn't trust all of it playing out. You can take a shot for sure, but just in the situation of it, felt like we needed to get the 3, and so that's why I elected to kick it. Did. That's what they came back with. So.
Mike and Ben. Josh, what did you like about what Joe gave you in terms of efficiency? Were there some of those plays where he stepped out of the pocket, made some throws that were maybe different than some things he's done lately?
Made big-time throws inside of the pocket, made them as he escaped and moved. That could be drop 8, and everything was covered out. It was pressure at times. Great to see us scramble and make a throw down the football field, completion.
Okay, as soon as Negavall says he's not coughing like normal, he must be hydrated, he coughs. Coach has had COVID for 3 years.
That were big. There were multiple of those tonight that were big in the way the game was played out at the end. So proud of his continued growth and the way that he competed tonight. Run game, he was an important part in as well. So really good effort from him. Wideouts continue to grow, continue to get better, and so proud of their effort too.
Talks about the wideouts growing and getting better, and then on top of that, Dakota mentioned Dante Thornton in the chat. You know, we talked about this post game. We talked about it some in the fan call-in show. How much is it that Dante Thornton is comfortable on the outside? And now that Brew McCoy's down, Thornton played on the outside against Kentucky. And how much is that just a comfort level for him? And I know we as fans, me in particular, I'm driving the train. I'm driving the Dante Thornton train when he announces he's coming to Tennessee. I see his size, his length, his speed. And I'm like, man, that's the next Jalen Hyatt. Put that dude in the slot and let him go. You're going to scheme him open. And then the narrative from me became, well, maybe it's going to take him some time to understand this offense, right? Jalen Hyatt didn't just jump in and go ball out right out of the jump. You know, it took him some time. You know, that story, how great is it sitting down with Bayless Jones? What do I need to do? What does it take to compete at the level that you're competing at? Jalen Hyatt grows, gets better. Wins himself a Biletnikoff Award, then goes off to the NFL. Now he's going to have some success in the NFL. That's going to build recruiting for Tennessee to show that you can take it to the next level. But you got to put more than one there. Cedric Tillman has got to continue to grow and do something in the NFL. Now you got to put somebody else into the league. We were hoping that would be Brew McCoy. Does Brew McCoy come back? You know, I think it's an interesting question with Cain earlier. Who's going to be back on this team next year? The COVID year makes it so difficult to know what this football team's going to look like. And I'm as excited as anybody not named Coach Jay about Nico taking over this football team. But again, what are the weapons? Somebody mentioned it in the chat earlier. What does everybody look like around him? I think your running back room is going to be loaded. I think you got some young guys at wide receiver. We saw Chaz Nimrod make a play, and I know the defender fell down, but he also toasted that defender. He was going to be open regardless. The throw was on the money. So, we've seen Caleb Webb make some plays this year. Squirrel White's going to be back. Does Dante Thornton become that dude? Because he did step up. He did step up on Saturday. Had 3 catches for 63 yards. We saw what he could do with the ball in his hands in space. If he can become that guy, you're going to have some weapons around Nico, and then it just becomes, do you have the offensive line to protect him? And that's the interesting question because Cooper Mays could be gone. You could be losing 4 of your 5 starting offensive linemen. Or you could bring back John Campbell. You could bring back everybody. That is the entire thing right now. You could lose your entire offensive line, or you can bring back your entire offensive line. Now let's say you bring back the entire offensive line. Some of these young wide receivers develop. Coach mentioned Nathan Laycock. Does Mike Matthews come in and he's a competitor right out of the gate? Squirrel White is who he is. Does Brew McCoy come back? Now, let's put all those pieces together. Let's talk about basically this football team minus Jalen Wright, because Jalen Wright's going to the league. Ramel Keaton's done. You bring back all these weapons, and then you give me an elite quarterback that's got almost basically at this point 2 years in the system. The fact that was an early enrollee. I mean, he jumped in at bowl practice, so a year and 3 quarters, over a year and a half in the system. If Nico is who he thinks if Nico is who we think he is, difficult, easy for me to say, this offense is going to be deadly next year. And then let's look at the defense. And I know everybody's mad at Tim Banks right now because of the way they played against Kentucky. You shut down the SEC leading rusher. I think that's something to be talked about. This defense, love it or hate it, they've taken steps year after year after year, and you've got a lot of young talent. Arian Carter is going to be that dude. He's young. He's a true freshman out there getting valuable reps, in-game reps, snaps that matter against legitimate SEC opponents. Yes, he's making his fair share of mistakes, but guess what? That's how you grow, and that's how you get better when you are elite, and Arian Carter is elite. We got some really good young corners. How long, Cainer mentioned the speed at safety over and over and over earlier in the show. How long have we been saying that? We don't have SEC speed at safety. We don't have SEC speed at safety. We don't have SEC speed at safety. We've been saying it for years. Are the guys that are going to step up and take over, are the young guys, do they have SEC speed at safety? I don't know if the defense gets better next year. I think it's at least as good as it is this year. And how many times have we heard? How many times have you guys said it? How many times have I said it? How many times have we said it? If we had an elite offense with this defense this year, we're winning an Natty. We're winning an SEC championship. Dang, man, I sat here and earlier sold myself that I was concerned about the next year. Would Nico have enough around him? And now I've got myself convinced we're winning a national championship. That's what happens to me when I get emotional and start talking about this football team. I get excited about the future. And dang it, man, we're just flushing this entire season down the toilet. Still got an opportunity to go win 10 games, and all of a sudden that's not good enough. We're already looking ahead to next year. I feel like we've spent this entire season not enjoying the ride. I yelled at you guys last year, enjoy the ride. Enjoy the ride. We're not enjoying the ride this year. We're just looking to next year. We're looking to Nico. We're wasting away. Only get 12 of these things during the regular season every year. And I feel like we're just waiting for next year. Let's go enjoy homecoming, a blowout. We're going to see some Nico on Saturday, so get ready. Hashtag Where's Boogie? Come find me in Neyland Stadium. We're going to see some Nico. And then we got a big one against Missouri. We'll see what happens. Let's hear more from Josh Heupel. I don't know how I got completely derailed, but I love it. Let's hear more.
Big plays, 3 big catches by him. As he's been banged up throughout, this journey this year, including the spring, training camp, and parts of the season. Just where we were at collectively as a group, felt like it was best to slide him out in this football game and slide Chaz into the slot some. And so those guys will kind of, ping pong back and forth as we go here a little bit week by week.
David, Josh, what were they able to do? You guys have been so consistent with sacks, decals, quarterback hurries. What were they doing to keep Devin for the longest time kind of protected in that?
Okay, next question.
Man. What do you guys think? Obviously, Hop pissed off about the officiating again. Back-to-back weeks on the road in the SEC. One of them against Alabama that we are talking about Bama bias. We're talking about, trying to protect a team that could make the playoff. What's the reason for the bad officiating against Kentucky? Hype clearly upset that his defensive line was held all day. Are we going to get that home cooking when Georgia comes to town? Does anybody think that we're going to get all the calls when Georgia comes to town? Because the SEC is dang sure going to be protecting them. There's no doubt about it. So is it because you're on the road in the SEC, home cooking, the home team gets the calls? It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. I'm not going back to Alabama, but I'm going back to Alabama. They didn't cost Tennessee the game, but they dang sure didn't make it easy. The officiating flipped the momentum. All right, maybe I should do like Josh Heupel, sit there quietly and not say anything.
Come back to Dante. He's obviously hoping to have a big impact this year after the injury. How do you guys think of keeping confident?
Who's that? Thornton?
Yeah.
This game is microcosm of life, man. Like, there's ups, there's downs, there's battles, you know what I mean? And he's had not a tough go of it, but a tough go of it. And I say that just meaning that he's got banged up, in the early part in spring, happened in training camp, middle portion of the season. So he's just beginning to get like super comfortable in what we're doing. And so I love the fact that he's got great energy every single day. He gives energy to his teammates. He's hyper-focused on what he wants to do to improve, and he competes hard every single day. So, the challenge is when it's not going well is just mentally to continue to invest, and he's done that, and expect him to play really well down the stretch.
I like hearing that, like the transparency there that he wasn't getting a grasp of what they wanted to do, talking about Dante Thornton. Now he's starting to understand it. Now we're seeing what he can do. Ultimately, Dante Thornton wanted to be one and done. That's not going to happen. So I think he could be a weapon for Tennessee next year. I think he could be a weapon.
How much does winning close games like this have to do with your ability to adjust personnel, adjust your identity within the season?
I think you play the same game 10 times, the game's going to unfold differently if you played it 10 times. There's just so many variables in this game, the flow of the game. But in this game, you're going to have guys that go down. You got to be able to adjust. Your personnel's got to step up. Sometimes you're calling things a certain way based on your personnel, but there's other times where, it is what it is, and they got to go perform and execute in it. And, tonight, in all three phases of the game, we had guys that stepped up and played extremely well. Charles did a great job tonight, man. Huge part in the football game. I haven't mentioned him. That's not right. He did an unbelievable job. Long ones, got the ricochet, so he's living right.
Dude, yeah, shout out Charles Campbell, man. What a season that dude is having. Only missed 2 field goals, and both were beyond 50 yards, 4 for 4. In a game where you're, hey, this offense struggles to score in the red zone, but one thing's for sure, if you get down there, Charles Campbell's going to put it between the uprights. And one of you guys on Twitter, I made a comment about we don't appreciate, Charles Campbell enough. Somebody picked up Charles Campbell's fiance and his family and gave them a ride back to the hotel. And somebody commented on my post on Twitter and said that. Look, a lot of people say a lot of things on the internet, so I was kind of like, well, whatever. Did you really? Or are we just being somebody on the internet? Then Charles Campbell's mom commented on it and said, thank you so much for the ride, and posted a picture of a bunch of people getting into a big bus going back to the hotel. How cool is that? Man, there ain't no family like the Tennessee family. Russell Moorhead been a member for 30 months. Appreciate that, Russell. You're getting close to 3 years being a member. That is a long time to support this channel, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you, Russell, for the support. Says we need professional refs. I was just thinking that yesterday on the rewatch. Man, these guys, there's a guy that works at the gym that I go to, and he's a part-time NCAA referee. Like, he travels all over the country. I don't know what conference. I don't ever talk to the guy. I just hear him telling people stories. And it's like, man, he works a 9 to 5, but he jumps on an airplane and goes and officiates a game. Definitely need professionals. Definitely need more accountability. There's just no accountability. And, we talked about it for 2 weeks now. What happens? Well, Josh Heupel takes the plays that he disagrees with, sends them to the SEC. They ignore them, and that's the end of it. That's it. Nothing ever changes. Lazy Llamas is in the chat. What's up, brother? $5 super chat. Appreciate that. It says door fee. I appreciate you paying that door fee. About 200 people snuck in here without paying it, but that's okay. I'll allow it. Late to the show. Going to start from the beginning. Have a great day, Boogie. Have a great day yourself, my man. Appreciate the super chat. Thank you for the support. I hope you enjoy that Kentucky intro once again. I may play it again at the end of the show. It never gets old. It never gets old watching a Kentucky fan, because that's what that guy is. He's a fan. He's not media. He's not a professional. He just pretends to be. At least we admit it, man. At least we come on here and say, hey, look, I'm not some media expert guy. I'm not an insider. I'm not going to break down X's and O's. I'm going to tell you what I see, what I think, what I feel. No different than any of you guys. A lot of you guys know way more about football than I do. But I don't get on here and pretend to be professional and then spiral out of control crying about Tennessee owning my football team for my entire lifetime. All right, let's hear more from Josh Heupel.
Coach, to build on that, preseason, he said, I want to be in close games. I want the opportunity to make big plays. He had that opportunity tonight. And so when you go out in the portal and you grab a guy like him, to see him shine in that moment, just how fulfilling was that for you?
Yeah, a kid that's grown up in the state of Tennessee, wanted to play with the Power T on the side of his helmet, have an opportunity for him, his family, to represent their family and represent the university means a lot to him. For him to perform the way that he has up until this point, it's been a lot of fun for him, but for us too. And he's submerged himself in the the fabric of this football team extremely quickly, man. He's a ball, and he's a great teammate inside of this locker room.
What did it mean to watch him get his first touchdown?
Yeah, awesome for a guy that is young in his journey, continues to improve, works hard every single day, and we obviously believe has opportunity to be a dynamic playmaker, and beats man press coverage and goes and makes a play. Really nice throw by Joe. Again, he's a young player that continue to expect him to accelerate his growth curve here on the back end. Man, really proud of him for that play, but what he's done here, in particular since Brew's gone down.
That's when we talk about depth and we talk about next year and we talk about the future. That's where you can get excited. When you see young guys like Chaz Nimrod, young guys like Caleb Webb go out and make plays, like next man up, Brew goes down, we're seeing these guys kind of make plays. You're not counting on them this year as starters, but you're having to lean on them because of injuries. That's what happens in college football. That's when you see the depth. That's when you see recruiting working. But then where you get concerned is when you look at the offensive line. What happens when Andres Carrick goes down and Ollie Lane comes in and gets hit with back-to-back holding penalties or false starts, or, it is what it is. When the starters go down, the depth is not there on the offensive line. Those young guys, you're not seeing an Addison Nichols come into the game and make plays when he needs to make plays. You're seeing it at the wide receiver position. I think you would see it at the running. We're so freaking deep at running back. Those young guys aren't going to see the field just because we're so deep there. But that's what concerns me about the offensive line. Especially, we'll see. Again, it's just so up in the air. Who actually comes back? And if they don't come back, are you able to finally hit in the portal? And we say that. We act like Tennessee is missed every time they go into the portal. Listen to the names we're rattling off. Gerald Mincy, portal guy. John Campbell, portal guy. Andres Carrick, portal guy. Now we're hoping those guys come back. So this coaching staff has done a good job adding guys on the offensive line in the portal. Not even touch the defensive line. Same thing on the defensive line. A lot of upperclassmen: Elijah Simmons, Bryson Eason, Omari Thomas, Tyler Barron, Roman Harrison. A lot of upperclassmen. Edge position's loaded. Good gosh. So many good young edge guys. But the interior, I think you're going to have to hit the portal as well.
A couple more, Austin and Patrick. They also seem to have a lot of emotion in their game. Improved, I think it's maybe struggled a little bit one time this year when a little thin and banged up. They have the performance tonight and be a part of some big catches, especially when it goes on the move.
Yeah.
How big was that for a young coach like him?
Yeah, huge for him, huge for the wideouts, huge for us offensively in this football team. This journey throughout the course of the season, there's been guys that have been banged up that nobody knew were banged up that played through it, guys that got banged up that, were no longer playing. There's been a lot of variables at that position this year and more so than we've ever had since we've been here. And they continue to fight. They continue to compete. Proud of the way they continue to step up. It's big for Coach Pope, but big for the guys in that room too.
Josh, you guys again, this leading the league rushing, you guys have like 42 yards.
Yeah, we were playing a mixture of coverage, single high and two high, so the box wasn't loaded all night long. We did a great job of block destruction early. We penetrated, made them bubble, didn't let them get started. Then we wrapped up and tackled pretty well early in the football game. That's why, I feel like, they went so heavy to the play action pass there in the, beginning or late first quarter and continued that, but did a really good job up front early.
Last two, Ryan and West.
That's a situation. Help satisfy lead the clock out with 4 minutes drive and what went well.
Yeah, well, one, we blocked it extremely well. We got hats on hats for the most part, and when it got to the third level, running backs made plays, man. They ran through people and made a miss and went forward. So huge for that group and for this game to go finish the game with the ball, and that's what you want to do offensively when you get into 4-minute mode. We did a great job in the box. O-line, tight ends, running backs, and quarterbacks were a part of that too, controlling the edge defenders. So really proud of the way that we got an opportunity to finish the game with it.
Boomer. Is that Boomer? Boomar. Appreciate the $2 super chat. David Hobbs is a dog. He will make a leap. Yeah, I think he's going to be a special player too. I was looking to see. He only played one snap on Saturday, which is interesting because I got through part of the rewatch, not all of it, and I saw David Hobbs out there, and I was curious how many plays he got, but I just looked at PFF. He only got in for one play. But, yeah, I think he's going to be a player. Does he take enough of a step to be an impact player next year? Does Tyree West, a guy that's played a little bit, but I don't think he's taken as much of a step as we would like. They got some young talent on that defensive line, just more of it's at the edge position. And, again, one of you guys put in the chat, you can see where Heupel put his priority, right? And his priorities on guys that can get after the quarterback from the edge position, guys that can protect the quarterback. I think we're seeing that in the class of 24 particularly. And then also spend your money on a quarterback. But, yeah, we'll see what David Hobbs – I think David Hobbs is going to be a good football player for Tennessee, especially under Roddy Garner.
Yeah. Tonight wasn't perfect either. There's short yardage that we didn't pick up, and our pass defense at times could have been better, and we had some penalties. But at the end of the day, this group does continue to fight and compete, and they do believe, and they play for one another, not just the guy that's next to them on their unit, but they truly play for the other side of the football. And there's belief and confidence, and that doesn't just happen. That's built through, your work ethic, building a brotherhood, building a culture. I'm really proud of that. There's a lot of things that we got to continue to improve upon as a football team, and that includes me and our staff and everybody. But I'll go with these guys anywhere, man. I love competing with these guys. Truly do. They prepare and they practice hard. They do the things we ask them to. I want an even more heightened sense of urgency to get where we're capable of as fast as we can. But I'll go anywhere with these guys.
Thank you, Coach.
And that right there is a leader. That right there is a leader. He has shown that from day one. He showed that he was a leader when he walked in day one and sat down and said, "What do you need from me?" Not this is the way I do things. This is what you're going to do. If you don't like it, hit the road. He didn't come in with that mentality. He came in and said, "What do you need from me? Tell me what you need from your head football coach." That's what leaders do. And, you look back at Pruitt. What did he say at the beginning? Well, we don't have the type of talent around here that we need to win football games, but we're going to get it, don't worry. He walked in and spit in the face of every player on his football team. Whereas Josh Heupel came in and showed those guys love. He loved on those guys that Jeremy Pruitt spit on. That's a leader, man. That is a leader. Hey, I appreciate you guys hanging out with us on a Monday. If you haven't done it, still hit that like and share down below. Somebody can catch the rewatch. We would appreciate that support. We're on that grind, man. We're on that grind to 25,000 subscribers. We're getting close. We're about 1,500 away. So let somebody know about Talkin VAWLS, whether it's word of mouth, sharing the videos, sharing the live streams. It helps grow this channel. If you see us tweet a video, don't just come watch it. Retweet it. Let people know. Let's continue to grow this community. I think we got the best dang community, not only for Tennessee, but all of college football. I don't think other fan bases have this type of community. Do they have channels? Do they have channels bigger than this? 100%. But I don't think they have the community that we have here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. We'll be live tomorrow night, 6:30. It's Halloween night. Do I have to go buy a Halloween costume? We're taking our little one out, I think tonight. Yeah, tonight. We're taking him somewhere tonight. So tomorrow night, we don't have anything going on. We're not going anywhere, so let's live stream. Let's have a Halloween party right here on the Talkin VAWLS Network. Maybe I'll dress up. I don't know. Maybe I'll dress up as a content creator. But regardless, we'll have some fun. We'll play some NCAA football. We'll talk some Tennessee football. But that's going to do it for this one. I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. This is the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call home, and it's night and I'm alone and